Okay, I'll need a ribbon.
I got the rabbi on.
Go slow.
I need that podium too.
Okay. We got a second. Go slow. Never hurry. Yeah, he's a great guy. Oh, okay, he's trying. I've got to let these people register, and then we'll bring that
That's
over.
Rosie, yeah.
My mother told me that
This was a safety valve.
See, I still make that face. You see that?
Yeah, that's. How are you? Good, yourself? Good. You guys starting to get ready for the holidays? Yeah. That time of year.
That's not gonna embarrass me. I was really
Oh, the podium? Well, maybe let's put it right here. Let's see.
Yeah. What's your phone number?
It tilts down. I know, but this might, tilt it down a little bit, but not too far. Don't make it flat, because I think if it's a little bit of an angle, not the other way. Yeah, bring it down just a little. I think that'll help.
You need a whole bottle of water. There's some water here, folks.
kindergarten.
Okay, Rabbi?
1971. I was 5.
Let's see. Nice. That's all you get.
His name on the news, so I don't know who he was. But the first person who came in, he's the
Yeah, because I'm muted, tell him.
He's still muted.
Folks, we're going to begin services momentarily. I'm going to ask pallbearers if you'll come over to the hearse. These gentlemen will give you gloves. Come on over to the gloves. The gloves, gentlemen. You got one. You're good. You're covered.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Face the hearse. So step in close. You're facing the hearse. Continue facing the hearse. We're going to take 4 steps backward, turn to our left, and we'll go over to the grave. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have more, you know. Okay. Again, face the hurt gentleman. You take hold of the bar. Well, you take hold and start tapping the cat. Yeah. Face the hurt. Pass this casket along one person to the next. Go all the way forward. 4 steps backwards, gentlemen. 4 or 5 steps. Everybody all right? All right. We're going to turn to our left. Bring the casket up close to the grave. Let's pause for a moment. Stop and take hold with both hands. And then we'll sidestep over the grave. Leaning back will help keep the casket raised. Lean back, watch yourself coming up on those boards. And we'll stop and lower together with your knees if you can. Gentlemen, we ask that you remove your gloves. Place them there on the foot end of the grave. Foot end of the casket, I could say. Gather them together. Marcia does have the ribbon. Cottage cards. All right, make sure.
Bradley, can give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Yes, would you do me a favor as you're driving and it's kind of distracting? Would you turn your video off? You'll be able to see us, but we won't be distracted by the car. Thank you. Bradley's car and Stan, I have you muted, so leave it that way. But you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up, Stan. You can hear me? Okay. But we'll leave you muted so that we don't get any kind of feedback. Marshall, let me ask you to stand. We're going to say the blessing. You wear the Kriya ribbon today, and then if you wish through the remainder of the week, taking it off before Shabbat. So you don't wear it on Shabbat. Okay? And we'll repeat after me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, who is a righteous judge. You can take the ribbon from the bottom and tear it up through the middle. Family and friends gathered here, and those of you joining us on Zoom, we begin our service in Albert's memory. I'm Rabbi Eddie Sukal from the Shul. We begin with words from the 23rd Psalm. Adonai ro'i loho echsar, binoteh sheyarbitzeni al mei menuchot yenahaleni, nafshi yeshovev, yancheni v'ma'alei tzedek lema'an shemo, Gam ki elech begates al mavet, lo irara ki ata imadi, shiftecha umishantecha, hema yenachamuni, taroch lefanai shulchan neged soverai, dishanta Hashem en roshi, kosi rivayach tov v'chesed yidafuni, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'beit Adonai. Le'orech yamin. God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. Marcia and Stan, and to your families, and to Albert's community of friends and other family members. We open with those words from Psalms with the hope that they might comfort us. That these beautiful Hebrew poems that come to us from ancient times will provide a source of comfort. We know that you grieve in a darkened world following Albert's death. We understand that in your silence there is sadness. These are days of tears and sorrow as we grieve. And yet here's one of the challenges of grief. There are many, but this is one in particular. We're called upon to grieve and to grieve fully. These days are known as the days of wailing, Yemei Bechi, the days of weeping. We're to let it out, but also to reach deep into our souls, our spirits, our emotional state, to reach deep inside ourselves, to also find the ability and the strength to be grateful for the gift of Albert's life. And so we're called upon to do two things at once, which are not exactly opposite, but don't exactly fit together so easily either. And that's to grieve and to be grateful. Grief and gratitude, they go together. And so we gather today to say goodbye. And as we do so, we are mindful that there is so much to be thankful for. The gift of Albert's life, and we'll be hearing more about that in just a few moments. But as Stan wrote to me and mentioned to me on the phone, Albert, that the physicians told your mother that Albert would live maybe into his 20s, maybe to be 30. You know what happened to all the doctors that told her that? They're all dead. And it isn't, the measure of his life isn't just in the years granted to them. Thank goodness they were many. It was in the way he lived and the relationships that he had and enjoyed with all of you and you with him. It's the things he did and said that brought joy into your lives, that made you laugh, that brought smiles. And he was filled with gifts that he shared with you. Sometimes expected, sometimes very unexpected things. And so as we remember him and as we grieve for him, we are grateful for the gift of his life, for the companionship and the friendship and the love that you shared with him and that he shared with you. We are grateful for the gift of memory so that we can recall him and tell his stories and have him live on in our hearts and our minds in this way. from the 15th Psalm. Adonai mi yagor be'ohalecha mi yishkon behar kodshecha. Olech tamim ufoel tzedek v'dover amet bilvavo. O God, who is it that may abide in your house, and who may dwell upon your holy mountain? Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not wrong others or bring shame upon them, who give their word and come what may do not retract, who do not exploit others. Those who live in this way, they shall never be shaken. Marcia jotted down you have to mute that, please. Gotcha. Marcia jotted down some memories. I want to read some selected things from, but it's even your first sentence that's so wonderful. Some of my most favorite memories. Not my most favorite, some of my most favorite. There were so many. Some of my most favorite memories of my brother Al. Albert picking me up for a ride in my uncle's green convertible as we drove around the neighborhood of Beechwood, listening to 60s and 70s music on the radio. Our favorites were hip-hop and jive and the Beatles. Of course, I sat on top of the back seat with the roof top down as we enjoyed a summer dream of a joyous, peaceful day together. We shared fun Labor Day picnics down on our relative Don Herman's pickle farm. We were amongst the chickens in a big coop shelter and visited the horses in their pasture, eating our first sloppy joes with corn on the cob on another peaceful summer day. Running bases on our front lawn as you and Brother Stan were throwing hardball back and forth, and I was the pickle in the middle. We shared laughter on a peaceful summer day. This is a family-like summer. We shared many holidays together. We shared many holiday dinners at our grandparents' home, at our mother's home, and then to my home. Thanksgiving dinners, and this is the part I loved, all in caps. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and then back to lowercase, and July 4th. Wonderful and peaceful holidays we shared together. Cinco de Mayo birthdays with my brother Albert, as we ate on the town at Latin and Mexican restaurants. Off to the Kentucky Derby races at the track, and there off at the track as we were sipping on mint juleps. It says tulips, but I know you meant juleps. Watching the horses come down the last stretch to the finish line. Albert knew all the stories and stats regarding the horses, jockeys, conditions of the track, the odds, and the history. We enjoyed our summer days together. Albert, you gave us a heck of a ride through life, my dear brother. It takes faith and a village to help us on our journey of life to who we really want to be. My family appreciates and thanks all of your support through our journey of life. May you rest in peace, my dear brother, who was nicknamed the Mayor of Chicago. Marcia, it's just a few of your memories. I know you have a lifetime's worth, but so beautiful. And our rabbinic tradition teaches that words that come from the heart enter directly into our hearts. And your words and your memories have entered our heart. Thank you. I want to call on Jessica, Albert's niece, who's going to share two different things. One, some remarks and memories that Stan has written down and sent to her. Stan told me when I spoke with him that there's a long form and a short form to this. I think we're getting the short form, but still long, because I didn't want to be the one to say it. And then Jessica also has some of her own memories that you'd like to share?
Thank you. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It means the world to all of us. So thank you for being here with us today. All right. Here's the shortened version. Stan. Albert passed peacefully away August 8, 2022 in the comfort care at the Oman Living Center in Newberry, Ohio. Albert was born, as now we know, Cinco de Mayo, 1948, at 2273 Grandview Avenue in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Residents to Julian and Lillian Rosner Goldman. Just finding your way through life is not easy and is like playing a pinball game. Soon after Albert's birth, the family moved to 4234 Colony Road, South Euclid, thanks for all the details, Ohio, and moved in 1958 to 2605 Deptford Drive, Beechwood, Ohio, which was built by Grandpa John Rosner. In the 1980s, Albert stayed at several apartments in the area. From 1990 to 2019, he lived at 97 Solon Road, Bedford, Ohio apartments, which were built by Grandpa John Rosner and Uncle Harvey Rosner. Albert graduated from Heights High School in 1996 and took some classes at Cuyahoga Community College. His main complaint in school was not being able to understand fractions, a complaint I have heard from many others about mathematics. Albert found several jobs over the years. He worked at McDonald's from 1964 to 1968 on Mayfield Road at 16 to 20 years old. This was one of the first McDonald's in the Cleveland area, interesting, and was the main cruising sites for girl watching. I bragged to my friends about him working there, which gave me some celebrity status. Albert delivered rental cars for Uncle Harvey Rosner's Apollo Rental Car Company, cut the lawns at the Solon Road apartments for Grandpa John Rosner, assisted Uncle Harvey and Grandpa John in running Solon Road apartments, delivered phone books, trained to be a security guard where he learned to shoot a gun, yikes, delivered auto parts, and then for the last several years, Albert helped his friend Steve deliver Meals on Wheels. He played some musical instruments, the trumpet and trombone. Albert was kind of a philosopher on what was fair in life, idealist, and was a conversationalist. In the 1960s and 70s, Albert attended Heights Temple with the family when Rabbi Rube and Rosenthal were there. He was born with cerebral palsy and epilepsy, but the symptoms did not show up until several years after he was born. Albert had 90% use of his right arm and leg. Albert had to wear a brace on his right leg and at night to straighten it as much as possible. In the middle of the night, the braces would get uncomfortable and Albert would bolt out of his bed with the braces flying off. It caused quite a ruckus. So those were the cards that were dealt, and we all tried to help Albert figure his way through it. Albert played baseball, basketball, ran track, bowled, shot pool, and played chess. Our dad Julian, who was his Beechwood Little League baseball coach, who taught him how to catch and throw with his left hand, to play first base and bat with his left hand. I was amazed at how well he played baseball. Our mom Lillian's main goal in life was to get Albert to independently live on his own watch, maybe, or maybe not, on his own, which from my own observation was not achieved in many families with children that have the same set of circumstances. Someone said that 90% of life is showing up. Albert was at my Beechwood High School football games in 1969 through 1971, college graduation in 75, stayed 2 weeks with me at the fraternity house before graduation, my wedding in Dallas in 85, in the hospital the moment when my mom passed away, January 2000. He saved Uncle Harvey's life by getting him to the hospital when his leg swelled up with life-threatening blood clots. Went to Goldman Clan family reunion in 1989 in New Orleans. Attended bat and bar mitzvah of my 2 children in Dallas, Texas in 2009 and 2011. Doctors had told Mom that he would not live, as we mentioned, past 20 or 30 years old. Albert found a way through for 74 years. He wanted to make the doctors look bad. So he must have done many things right in his life path. He could hold up his end of the conversation for hours. He found friends to give help and to get help. He drove his friends different places. Albert notions are kind of like quotes from Yogi Berra. Albert thought normal people memorized everything, phone numbers, addresses, appointments, and kept it in their heads. So I could not convince him to get a notebook and keep notes. Albert thought meeting someone at his apartment meant he could watch his front door from across the street while visiting his friend at the nail salon. Albert wanted to live the American dream, be normal. He lived independently on his own terms, had 3 long relationships with girls, had enough money to go out to eat 3 times a day, and money left over for entertainment. He had 250 food and entertainment debit transactions per month. I know you watched that. He outlived the doctor's length of life predictions by 40 to 50 years. So I say Albert lived on his own terms and did pretty well. There's a picture of Albert, and in loving memory, this is from his brother, Stanley Goldman. Thank you, Stan. That was very nice. And I just have a few words. Just a few short weeks ago, we lost a beautiful soul. Death brings up a lot of emotions for me, and I'm sure for many of you. Albert was a great leader, a leader who set an example of how we should all live our lives. He was fearless, energetic, a fighter, goofy, and a positive soul. He loved our family so much and loved life, even given his quote-unquote limitations. We all have things that hold us back, but Albert didn't let these things get in his way. As I continue to lose loved ones, I continue to learn from them. They show me answers, they create a path, often blurred at first, but in the end, they are always there guiding me along my way and there to support me when I need them most. Albert, thank you for being you and showing us how to do the same. Albert, we love you so much and will always hold you in our hearts. May we all heal. Rest in peace.
Thank you. As all of you here know, Albert had a collection of friends that were dear to him, and I'd like to call upon one of them, Stephen Frisk, to share some thoughts.
I didn't know Al for a very long time, I think about past 5 years. But I learned a lot today already. I met my friend Al when he came to my church. He had a lot of questions about the Bible. I did my best to answer. As I got to know him better, I came to appreciate how he enjoyed being around people. You can see that from what Jessica said earlier. Besides church, he spent a lot of time at the racetrack. I remember the local Burger King as well, meeting and talking to all kinds of people. He told me he used to play a trumpet, and that's been confirmed, which he still had, and I was surprised that it was left-handed, because I play a saxophone, and a left-handed trumpet just didn't make any sense to me, but of course, that's the only way he could play. I also learned he'd been in the bowling league several years earlier and bowled better than 200, something I was never able to come close to, and he had trophies to prove it. He told me about his dad, how he encouraged him to play the trumpet, play baseball, teaching him to catch, throw with one hand. His family was very important to him. He often expressed his love for his brother and his sister. He talked about how his uncle looked after him when his mother died. When he was unable to drive, I went grocery shopping with him. In order to be sure he got the food I needed, I made sure we had a list. But he never, ever had trouble remembering Oreos, potato chips, and donuts. After a couple of years, I realized he kept asking the same questions because he struggled with remembering and understanding what he was told and read. But he kept asking questions and trying to understand anyway. And that's what I think what I admired the most about Al. In the end, I trust that in his heart, he honestly wanted to serve God, did the best he could. 1 Samuel 16:7 tells us that the Lord doesn't see things the way we see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. God sees through our attempts to gain his favor by doing the right thing and knows the true condition of our innermost being. I believe that Al's searching is over, and he now has and understands the answer so sought. I appreciate the life that he shared with me.
As I was listening to Jessica read what Stan had wrote and share your own comments and what I read that Marcia had written, and I thought there's only really one thing in terms of biography that I wanted to add. And then Steve, you got to it somehow with your quote from 1 Samuel. And Stan said it to me on the phone, which was that Albert was living proof that you can't judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
I want to just draw on two items from our Jewish tradition as we remember Albert today. The first is that I'm mindful that today is the first day of the Jewish month of Elul, and it's the month that immediately precedes Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's when we begin our preparation for the holidays. And what's the theme of the month of Elul and of the high holidays? The hallmark is that it's a time of self-reflection and introspection and thinking about who we are and how we've lived. And I hope that during this time in Elul, we'll remember and think about not only how we lived, but we will reflect on Albert's life and the way he lived and the things that he shared with all of you. And that those memories will help lighten our grief as we prepare to begin a new year. And the other is a well-known Jewish teaching that says when we die, we leave behind everything material that we've acquired, whether it's a lot or a little. A pauper on the street and the richest man in his penthouse suite, they are equal in the face of death. We take nothing with us from this world. Our material goods, meaningless and irrelevant. And so the rabbis asked, what is it then that survives us beyond the grave that has meaning and significance? And they answered this way, that in the way some people live, in the love they shared with others, they earn for themselves the Keter Shem Tov, the crown of a good name. Albert's crown of his good name, it survives him. It lives on with all of you, his family, and his friends. And with every good conversation and deep and long conversation you have with someone, you wear the crown of his good name and you honor his life. And every time you bet on the ponies, especially if you win, you carry the crown of his good name into the future. The crown of Albert's good name, that survives him. It lives on with all of you. And we carry it forward. And we share it with others. And in so doing, we honor him and we pay tribute to his memory. Amen.
Amen.
In the book of Ecclesiastes we read, "The eye never has its fill of seeing." It is an eternal truth that young or old, those who depart this life never see enough of their world, never complete all of their tasks, never cherish their loved ones enough before they are called home. How they yearn for yet another respite from that final summons, and how we yearn to have them close to us for another challenge in our lives, another joy, another precious moment together. O God, we call upon you. Be now with those whose hearts are broken, because whenever parting comes, it comes too soon. Console Albert's family, his brother and sister, his nieces and nephews. Console his family and his circle of friends. Be near to them, O God, even when your light seems distant. May those who mourn be sustained until their time of healing. If it is easy for you to do so, please rise at this time. El malei rachamim, shochein bamromim, amsei menucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina, im kedoshim utehorim, kizohar harakia mazhirim, et nishmato shehalach leolamo, began eden tehei menuchato, ana bal harachamim, astirehu beseter kanafecha leolamim, vayitror bitrachayim, et nishmato. Adonai hu nachalato, v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Albert Marc Goldman, for he has now entered eternity. O God of mercy, we pray, may Albert find refuge in your eternal presence, and may his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance, and we say, Amen.
Amen.
The author John Gunther wrote a book about the death of his child entitled Death Be Not Proud. Some of you may have read it in high school. There's one short passage I want to read as a quotation. The influence, the impact of a person continues to exert itself long after mortal bonds have broken. Not only that he lives in our hearts or in anything he truly touched, but that a person transmits permanently something of what he was to all of us. The fabric of the universe is continuous and eternal. Al Mikomo Yavo B'Shalom. May Albert come to his eternal home in peace. We lose our hold on life when our time has come, just as the leaf falls from the bough when its day is done. The deeds of the righteous enrich us all. The dust returns to the earth, yet the spirit lives on with God. Like the stars by day, our beloved dead are not seen by mortal eyes, and yet they shine on forever, for theirs is an eternal peace. Let us be thankful for the companionship that continues in love, stronger than death. We sanctify God's name. We honor Albert's memory as together we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'alma divrach terutei v'amlit malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei v'chol beit Yisrael. V'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lomei omayom. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpahar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudushat v'richu. Le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata.
Kush v'chata v'nechemata. Ta'amiran v'yalma v'imru. Amen.
Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. As we conclude our service, in just a moment I will invite family and anyone who wishes to take a shovel full of earth and to place it into the grave. We do this in fulfillment of the mitzvah of Chesed Shel Emet, the final kindness that we can perform for one that we love. Our tradition recognizes that this is emotionally the most difficult mitzvah there is to perform, but we're called upon to do so as a way to pay tribute to one we loved and to say we involve ourselves in their burial out of love and respect and admiration. For those who may wish to honor Albert's memory with a charitable contribution, his family suggests you direct your generosity to the Jewish National Fund. I'd like to conclude with this poem from Chana Senesh. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. There are people whose memory burns bright and lights the world, even after they themselves are no longer among us. It is these lights that shine even in the darkest night. It is these lights that guide us and illumine for us our path. Zichrono livracha. Albert's memory will forever be a blessing to all of you who knew him and who loved him. Amen.
Amen.